always ask them, what do you drink? And then we find out whether it's beer or wine or what have you. And then we try and get them into something a little familiar before they can branch out, because we have a lot of different varieties. But yeah, it's tough to try and convince them. Does it have? Is it sweet? It's got to be sweet, right? No, it doesn't.
Well,
so, there's a lot of education.
If your market likes Merlots and Cabs, then you bring them a blackberry or a black currant or a red currant, something that's going to give them that flavor profile that they're used to. I call it a gateway mead. It's whatever is the one that'll let them step sideways into that and open up their ideas to new possibilities. I had people that insisted that all they liked was dry red wines, and I would have them buying a half a case of a, make your fillings fall out sweet. And I mean, this stuff was sweet. He had an apricot melomel that was to die for. It was really, really good. And they would be like buying a half a case of that and taking it home with them after they just told me that Merlot was the only thing they drank. It was like, okay, hey, your money folds as well as anybody else's, so
That just means obviously you've never tried anything else.
Right, and we get that a lot too. They're like, I like dry. I'm like, try this. And they're like, I'm like, try this then. And they're like, I like that. I'm like, you don't like dry. You like sweet. I have news for you. Your palate is not what you think it is.
Well, people buy what they're told, too. They're like, well, you should be drinking dry wines, or you like dry wines, and they go with that. I mean, it's
dry wines are more sophisticated, so you try to make yourself like it.
Yeah, right. I didn't care for it, so I went back to
Same here.
My barbaric sweet wines, so
yep. Act like a lady.
So we have a jalapeno one. We call it Fuego. It's probably one of our better sellers, and a lot of people who move out of Texas, when they come in, and they're going home or something, they'd love to take a bottle of it. But we have a lot of people who are just like, jalapeno wine, I'm not even trying that. I don't want to try that. And then they taste it and they're like, that's delicious. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to tell you, it's pretty good.
One of my all-time favorite meads at the Mazer Cup on the home side was, and there's some good ones. This and it took best in, I think it took best in show one year. Was it Chipotle mead? And when somebody said Chipotle mead, I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And I absolutely went, ass over tea kettle for this meat. It was amazing. Unbelievably good. And there's the peppermill or capsicumel, depending on who you ask, market is just going bananas right now. Or banana peppers right now, I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, we're trying the chocolate pepper one on tap right now. People seem to like it, but it may not be hot enough. I think we might need to spice it up a little bit.
Well, you could offer them a bowl of jalapenos to garnish the glass with.
Well, that's funny that you said that, because I use fresh jalapenos to make my jalapeno mead, fresh local jalapenos, and I've always just kind of composted them afterward. And everyone's like, what did you do with the peppers? What did you do? Because I cut them into like little medallion-type sizes. And they keep asking, they're like, no, I'll buy those. And so I think I've got a 50-gallon batch right now, and I think I'm going to, when I rack off of them, I'm going to kind of clean them up and jar them, and it's going to be mead pickled jalapenos.
There you go.
But I tried one, and they are like super intense hot. Like the heat has been magnified in them from sitting in there for like 3 months.
Interesting.
So we'll see what happens. People can be crazy. That might be a big hit.
That could
we
very
have
well
kids
be.
and we have kids and designated drivers, that come into the tasting room. So I just said, I'm going to make them a soda, and I'm making a honey cream soda, non-alcoholic. That thing sells more than some of our meads. People love it. They come from all over to get it. And all it is just like honey, vanilla, and, cream of tartar. And they just dig it. But I think it's because, it's honey instead of just refined sugar. So it's got a really good flavor to it.
Sounds to me like we need to do it like you need to do a cream soda mead.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I have a hard one. So I have a hard one done with the same thing. But finishing gravity on it is like 1055 or something. So talk about sweet. It's super sweet. Wow, that's the finish gravity. So it is super sweet. But people love it. And They say I should sell it, and I'm like, well, I've done the math. I can't sell it at stores because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay $2 a bottle for a soda?
It's different when it's served to you.
Well, you'd be surprised what people pay for a soda in Miami Beach.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because, I figured that I'd have to sell it for like $1 a 12-ounce bottle to a store just to make any money on using so much honey to make it sweet. And so then they would sell it for $2 a bottle, I'm sure. So, I don't know. I mean, there may be someone out there, but...
Do it as a special release and a limited... Do it as a special release, limited run, and give it a shot. If it doesn't sell, then, then serve it at the, tap room and make it go away. But if it does...
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
The best part about it is the turnaround on it is as long as it takes me to mix the stuff together.
I think that's a fantastic idea, is having something non-alcoholic in your tasting room.
Oh, yeah. Especially
if
you got a family, it makes it more family-friendly. I think that's great.
Yeah, and I'm always messing around with recipes, and so I have this dry blue as well. And I poured it into a cup of this honey cream soda, and lo and behold, it didn't mix. It sat on top of it because one's alcoholic and one's not. And so I have this blue and gold, like a black and tan, that's not mixed. Like I said, well, if people come in and they order that now, I'm like, hey, check this out, and it's just delicious. Blueberry on top of the honey cream soda.
Oh, my God. Well, look.
So we do little things like that.
That's amazing. I hate to even jump in and even try to slow you down because you keep saying all these yummy things. but I mean, it's getting worse and worse by the moment. It's like I'm sitting over here going, okay, I'm gonna short out my mic, drooling. Oh my God, cream soda.
Well, you guys need to. When I contact you offline, Vicky, I get all your addresses and I'll make sure I'll be good like Frank. He set the bar high. He sent you guys some meat, so I'm going to have to send you guys some meat.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll get you the info, man. Well, look, we need to wrap up because we do have to get to our next segment, but, gosh, it's been awesome having you on. I thank you for dropping your email in my lap a couple days ago. I was like, cool, yeah, what a great idea. So this worked out wonderfully.
Yeah, well, I figured it'd be a while before you got to me, but...
nope, you got lucky.
And stay back to me. I was like, thanks a lot, Vicky.
I had somebody lined up who panicked and said, I'm not ready, and I pushed him back, so I'm like, crap, scrambling around, and there you were, ready to step into the breach, so it was totally awesome.
Yay.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on.
It's been a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Well, we'll talk to you all soon again.
All right, take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, wasn't he awesome?
He was totally awesome. That was funny. It was funny. I'm looking at the clock going, we're running way over, but cream soda mead?
All these tasty things.
And then blueberries and pickled jalapenos and, oh my God. Stop.
Yeah. All right, how about I take over while you go and wipe off your mic?
No. Thankfully, for whatever reason, I never got over the habit of carrying Kleenex with me everywhere, so... Between allergies and a kid, you got in the habit, and yeah. My daughter teases me because I'm never without a Kleenex somewhere on my person or in my purse or something. So yeah. So yeah, all right. So making meat back to basics, and hand the control box over to you, girl.
Alrighty. So as I started to say before, I came into mead making from a background of winemaking, which I started in about 2004, and I got mead in about 2010 and discovered that not everything that I was doing was the way that would work best. It still worked, but I discovered there were better ways of doing things. A lot of my early reading on the topic of making non-grape wines, because of course you know that all of the research done on everything is for grape wines. because, of course grape wines are the only ones that matter, that because all the research has been done into it, you should be trying to make your non-grape must as similar to a grape must as you possibly can. Because that's where all the research has been done, that's what all your standards are based on, that's what your yeast have been tested on, that's what the amounts your nutrients and energizers have been tested for. So this is where the idea of adding acid blend up front comes from. Because you're trying to make whatever fruit must you've got match grape must in sugar content, and tannin, and pH, and nutrients. So what I was trying to do with every batch was, mistakenly, not realizing that honey has acidity, I was trying to make everything match up with what a grape must should be. So that's what that was the theory that I was going on based on my early reading. Now I've found some better books since, but and also the internet, because internet, but. Anyways, the big one, if you're trying to convert a recipe from a wine recipe to a mead recipe, is don't add acid. Do not add your acid blend, because honey has its own acidity. If you look up on Got Mead, I think it's called gluconic acid. There's a really good description of exactly how that works on gotmead.com. Which I am not going to repeat here because you can look it up just as well as I can. Anyways, what it amounts to is that you end up with too much of a pH drop when you add acid up front, and what that can do oftentimes stop your yeast from doing their job. So early on, I had a lot of batches that didn't quite finish out. Now, I like my mead sweeter, so I didn't mind, and a lot of them I did the usual beginner mistake of trying to make everything as alcoholic as humanly possible, and sometimes they didn't finish quite where I figured they would, and that was okay, but it was most likely because of pH, and I didn't have the facility to test that at the time. And now that I do, I'm realizing how important it is to, if you're going to add something up front, you're almost better off adding something basic like a calcium carbonate or potassium carbonate to bring your pH up and decrease your acidity, rather than adding acid blend or lemon juice like a lot of wine recipes recommend. The other thing is nutrients. A lot of the nutrients directions tell you to add like 1 teaspoon or half a teaspoon or a quarter teaspoon. What I've found for the most part is you can safely double that and not end up with anything left over that the yeast haven't taken, because honey does not have the same level of nutrients in it as a grape must does. Grapes have a lot of nutrition, which is why in the Joe's Ancient Orange recipe we use raisins to add a little bit of nutrients to the mead. The same thing with fruit wines. You could add a little bit more nutrients in a lot of cases, because a lot of times you're not using straight juice. You're using, if you're using fresh fruit, most of the time you're not pressing just juice. You're using water as well. And so your must is going to be a lot more dilute, which is why you have to add sugar, and you also have to add nutrients. I've been modifying the way I make mead ever since I started learning more about it when I found my way to Got Mead and discovered the error of my ways. And I hope that has helped anybody who wants to take a wine recipe and modify it into a mead or a metheglin or a melomel. You probably will need extra nutrients. You want to keep an eye on your sugar content. You may need to add tannin according to the recipe, but don't add acid blend because your honey has got sufficient acidity, and you probably do want to keep an eye on your pH, especially if you're using an acidic fruit like red currants is the one that's been giving me the most trouble lately. You really have to watch your pH, because if it goes too low, your yeast will stall out, and even if they don't stall out, they can start making yucky smells, yucky tastes. So you do always want to keep an eye on that. Now, so that's pretty much what I've got to say on mead making from a background of wine making. Manny, you came to mead making with a background of beer making, if I recall correctly?
That's correct.
Would you
And go ahead.
Would you like